moving quickly. Another handoff to Rankin. Rankin finds a hole. He's at the 30. Makes it to the 20. He's got one man to beat. Rankin walks into the end zone. Into the backfield. Braden Wright looks over top. He's going to try to find a man. He's got Alec Tatum. Tatum bobbles it, but he's in the end zone. What a connection between Braden Wright and Alec Tatum. Handoff to Rankin. Rankin right up the middle, and he's in the end zone for a Bearcat touchdown.
You that the views expressed in today's show do not reflect the views of KZLX, KNWT, or Northwest Missouri State University. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sports Kickoff here on X106. Andrew there on the intro. Previewing the segment. As last week, he said on Off My Rocker that Jameis Winston would lead the league in passing after 1 week. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's already out there.
I mean,
he's third right now.
They don't have a running game, so he kind of has to pass it.
Jacob Blair, Andrew Botnick, Sam Steinmeier, Austin McNorton. Weekend Sports Kickoff on X106, also streaming live on the KNWT Channel 8 Facebook page. It is that time for Off My Rocker. Nolan's not here, and he's slowly lost his ability to go last, so I think Andrew claimed that this week. So we'll let him stick with that. No, I'll go first this week. Make it easy, because I teased this earlier.
Yeah, we're waiting. You're leaving us in anticipation.
I didn't give my NFC rankings this week earlier, because I'm going to give them now. 3 of the current division leaders, 3 of the 4, will not be division leaders by the end of the season.
I know which one.
The Seahawks will end up the number 1 seed. The Vikings, or the Saints, will move to 2. The Vikings become the 3. The Eagles take the 4. The 49ers and the Packers end up your wild card team.
I knew you were going to put the Cowboys out of the playoffs. I knew you were.
Sam is seeing red right now.
No, there's no way the Eagles win this division.
They're 1 game back, Sam.
And
one.
they lost
37. They're losing in both of the tiebreakers.
They lost 37-10. They're going to lose again in Philadelphia.
No way.
Andrew, I have just triggered Cowboys fans everywhere.
They're losing both of the tiebreakers. They got blown out the first time we played them.
This is the best content of my whole week. I'm glad I'm here still.
It's like
you also
the
think
Seahawks
the
are going
to will be ahead.
Let's get off the Cowboys. The Seahawks are going to be the 1 seed.
Right. They'll beat the 49ers again.
I can see that. 2 seed, the
Saints.
The Saints. Okay. Yeah.
The one team that they're not going to. The Panthers aren't going to catch them.
No. You said
this is Off My Rocker. Not I'm like completely insane.
Yeah. You said.
Bradley's chiming in too. He's enraged.
You said
he says, "I'm enraged." Jacob, you are crazy.
You said the 3. The one who's coming out of the NFC North is the Vikings.
Right.
That's interesting.
1 game back from the Packers.
They are 1 game back, but that is interesting. And the Packers and the Eagles.
Eagles at the 4.
Eagles at the 4. Packers.
Then the Packers at the 5. 49ers at the 6.
I mean, I agree. I can see everything of that happening
except the Cowboys, right?
Except the Eagles beating out the Cowboys. I just can't see that.
Makes sense.
I mean, I know that's biased, but still, the Cowboys. Even if I wasn't a Cowboys fan, you look at it. They lost 37-10. I know it's Off My Rocker, and you are. So,
Andrew, I may have figured out my new favorite thing to do is upset Cowboys fans.
That's a lot of people's favorite thing to do because
that is a lot.
People like to make fun of the Cowboys.
Hey, remember I picked the Cowboys this week.
You did.
We might have to just rename Off My Rocker Off America's Team and just say something outlandish about the Cowboys every single week. But to be fair, it's possible. It's not like. See, I thought you were going to say. I thought you're Off My Rocker.
You were trying to predict this the whole time.
And I had something that was even crazier because I had something that was in my head. I thought you were going to say that for some reason the Falcons win out the rest of the season and make it into the playoffs.
I thought the problem is they see
maybe 9
that's part of it. They probably do, but they're 9-7. They're not making the playoffs.
I thought you were going to say something along the lines where the 49ers missed the playoffs somehow.
I knew right away when you said I'm going to tease my NFC playoff standings. As soon as you said I'm going to tease my NFC playoff standings, I knew in my head I thought he's going to keep the Cowboys out of the playoffs. I knew it from the start. So
It's certainly possible if they don't win the division, they're not making the playoffs.
So what we've
Yeah.
got is we've got the Cowboy fans, including Bradley. I'm off my rocker. The one guy
I'm in
not associated doesn't thinks I'm a little crazy, but not entirely.
You're crazy.
So
It's unlikely to happen, but you're not off my rocker because all of those teams are still in the hunt.
here we go. Andrew's going last. Who's going next?
Austin,
I'll go next.
You can go.
So
Off my rocker.
We haven't gotten a chance to talk about any NBA today, so I'll bring in some NBA thrown in. I think, and Jacob is actually pretty high on this individual. I think Luka Doncic will finish number 2 in the MVP race this season. He is already in a 10-game span in this season, has
This
averaged
is off my rocker.
Why didn't
not,
you-
not stating facts?
Yeah.
number
Why
2
didn't-
in the MVP race.
why
Because
didn't-
right now in the MVP race, he's number 6.
Why didn't you just say he'd win the MVP?
Because I think LeBron will win the
Because
MVP.
it's off my rocker. You could say
But I don't
anything.
believe that. But I don't believe that, though.
I don't believe my off my rocker.
I say
but
something that I actually believe. I don't believe he'll win it, but I think he'll finish number 2.
So that's why you're like the worst at this segment.
I think why would I say something I don't truly believe?
because it's fun.
The content.
The content.
Basis of this
Think
segment.
of the content.
Everything that I have said has been crazy and has been something I
one's not.
truly believe.
This one is the tamest thing you have said.
This is
For him to finish number 2, he's only
Right.
21. That's
He's
crazy.
20.
Doesn't
It's
matter.
actually he's 20.
Yeah, he's not even 21.
Didn't Patrick Mahomes win the MVP at 22?
Exactly.
That's not that far out of the
Well,
realm.
yeah, I know, but it's harder to do it in the NBA, I feel
How?
like. So, how?
How?
There's
But
a lot
you're
more
You're not saying he's
better
going
players.
to win the MVP. You're saying finish second.
Right.
You're not crazy at all. Look what he's
No.
doing right now.
Yeah.
He's doing something only one player has ever done, and that player happens to be the best player that has ever played the sport.
And let's not act like Luka is the most athletic guy in the world. He's doing this
No.
because he is that skilled.
Yeah, exactly. He's so much fun to watch.
This could be more of an off my rocker statement. He might be the most skilled player in the NBA right now.
He could.
Skilled.
Skilled, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. He passes the ball amazing. He's tall enough he can get rebounds, and he shoots the daylights out of the basketball.
Luka shoot sometimes, and you wonder how he doesn't get blocked half the time. It's not the quickest release in the world, but he gets it off and it goes in.
It's a beautiful shot. But I don't know. I just thought that was because I feel like more people value Giannis, more people value James Harden, and all of these other.
Part of me, though, is, again, I'm odd, I'm
and
weird.
Kawhi.
The most important stat to me in basketball is efficiency. I don't care about your points per game. I look at your efficiency first. I look at your field goal percentage. Because if you are scoring 40 points per game, but you're shooting 40%, you're probably losing as a team. If you're scoring, if you're shooting 60% and scoring 40, your team is probably blowing other teams out. So you look at some of the other competitors, Luka's been more efficient.
He's one of the most efficient players in the game. And
that's a stat I take more seriously than even points per game. It's just your efficiency on the floor.
Is that a plus minus thing that's
It's
looked at
efficiency
usually in
rating.
terms of efficiency?
There's an efficiency rating.
Okay.
Plus minus is similar. It's how many. It's scoring points versus giving them up on the defensive end, but that needs to be high as well. But there's some of these more analytical stats in the game of basketball that I take more value in than just the flashy ones, which is high point numbers and or high assist numbers.
just because
your efficiency.
James Harden scores 36 points a night doesn't mean he should be the MVP.
Right.
Sam, you're up.
All right, so I'm going to college basketball, and every year a mid-major team either makes it to the Final Four or is on the edge. Well, Utah State, number 15 in the polls right now, they will make the Final Four and fight for that national championship. Utah State making the Final Four as the mid-major. They're going to be the Cinderella.
It's honestly hard to say you're off your rocker for anything regarding March Madness because
Agreed.
I believe anything can kind of happen.
I think
This is pretty tame, so I really couldn't think of anything.
This might be confusing, but Utah State is the team that's expected to do this year.
Like last year it was Nevada.
The teams, right?
Yeah.
The teams that are expected to do this don't. Look at Wichita State when they are in the 1 seed, beat by Kentucky, and I can get into that seeding mess later.
Yeah, Kentucky was like an 8 seed,
brutal
right?
for us seedings of all
But
time.
the teams that everyone's like, that's the mid-major to watch this year, they're out in the round of 32. So I think you're crazy because it'll be someone we don't expect.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's a good point.
Because no one saw Loyola Chicago coming. They weren't the team.
And you can't count, no offense to your Gonzaga team, you can't count Gonzaga in that argument.
They're a mid-major, like in air quotes. They're
Right.
Because they're top 10 team.
Yeah,
But-
no, I'm kind of the same way with everybody else. I haven't been chiming in because everything's pretty much already been taken care of before it gets over to me.
Yeah, I would say what Jacob said for you being off your rocker makes sense because just like we saw with Nevada, when a team is like, that team's going to make the Final Four, they don't. So I would say you're off your rocker for that.
It's kind of backwards because you're crazy because
Right.
it's what's expected.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're crazy for thinking
Like,
what's expected is going to happen.
If there's a team that could do that, it's that team, which means it won't be that team because we expect that team
That's
to
March
do it.
Madness.
and it's because in March, nothing we think happens.
Well, there's a reason why no one's ever had a perfect bracket.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, you've got the pressure of going last. Will you? Here's my first question.
Will you
Is
usurp?
this good enough to take over Nolan's spot of always being last?
See, in
Nolan's left the door open recently.
In my opinion, this is kind of mundane, but at the same time, it could be. So let me just say it, and I'll let you guys decide. I'm going to the NFL as per usual. That's typically where I lie with my my stuff here on Off My Rocker. But I'm more specifically going to a player on the Saints, not Drew Brees, not Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. 94 receptions this year, 1,141 receiving yards. I am saying for my Off My Rocker that he will break the receiving yards record as well as the receptions record this year. If you have any further questions, I can tell you who they play the rest of the season.
What
play
is the record?
Does Jerry Rice hold the record?
for single receiving yards in a game or in a season, not a game. A season. Calvin Johnson, 1964. So he is about 800 yards away. Receptions wise, Marvin Harrison, 143. Michael Thomas at 94. But they still have 6 more games left in this season.
I think he's got a better chance to get the yards than the receptions, just because big plays. Michael Thomas is a big play player.
Well, I'll tell you, last year, Michael Thomas had 125, which is good for 5th all time.
Yeah, he's definitely going over 100. He's going way over 100. He's at 94 right now. I don't think he's gonna you're not off your rocker because I can see both happening. I don't think he'll get the catches, but I can see him getting the yards.
You're talking about probably, 8 or 9 receptions a game because, he's down 45 from the record about.
Yeah.
In terms of receptions.
Let's see, 94, 143, about
Math on WSK.
50?
So yeah, you're
He would need
looking
about
6
9
games left. You're looking at 8.3, 8.25, around there, 8.3 receptions. And then yards, he's down 800?
You need about 110, 115, which is about what he's getting per game.
6 games left, it's more than that. It's 125, 130 per game. So
This is why
I'm
we
with
aren't
Sam. I think he can do it on both ends. I don't think it's completely crazy.
No.
It's going to take a historic 6-game stretch.
I think
but
he's
going to
need a big
100,
game.
137 yards per game is what he would need.
So we just learned
tie
I'm
it.
better at math than Andrew.
This is why we aren't math majors. This is why we're media majors.
Good point, Sam. But we did learn I'm better at math than Andrew.
Their toughest defense they play.
Put it in the record book. You're 1 win.
Got one.
Want to know?
The thing is, they play 3 of those games on the road, 3 at home. And the one they play at home is San Francisco, is one of the best defenses in the league.
Well, one of the best front sevens. There's secondary is
that's true.
They do have. I'm sure they'll have.
I think it's possible.
I looked it up. They're also the number 1 passing defense in the league.
Never mind then. My words have been.
So I think he would need a
my mouth.
big game, whether that's against the Titans or the Falcons, both on the road. But I think it's possible with Drew Brees.
I agree with Sam. I think if there's one that's more likely than the other, it's
the yards.
It's the yards.
The yards.
However, I don't think you're off your rocker. I think it's possible on both. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen on either one. But I'm not going as far to say you're crazy.
I'm 100% there. I don't think you're off your rocker, but I don't think it's going to happen.
It's going to end up being a historic season either way if he
Yeah.
ends up winning all 16.
legitimate shot.
They have to stay undefeated if they want to. And if they do, say, because either LSU or Alabama's going to have one loss, and Ohio State, Penn State's going to have one loss. So you could potentially see Clemson and Baylor, being the only two viable college football playoff teams if they do stay undefeated that are able to get into the college football playoff. Now, whether the committee will put them in or not, I don't know. They haven't had as tough a schedule as LSU or Penn State or Ohio State or all of them, but I still think an undefeated Big 12 team deserves to at least be in the conversation for the college football playoff.
And I think what's unfortunate for Baylor, they should be in the conversation, but they're not going to get put in, honestly, unless, like you said, something wild would have to happen. But even then, if something wild happens, say Penn State loses to Ohio State, does Penn State automatically get thrown out? Their resume is fantastic, and if your one loss is to the number one, the first ranking comes out, and that number one is Ohio State, if your only loss is to them, then they're sitting basically right where Georgia is right now. Because, Georgia's got their one loss, but if they went out and they play Alabama in the college football champion or the SEC title and they win, then it changes up a whole lot. So there's so many these top six are so clumped together that it basically prevents Baylor or somebody just outside of that top six from even getting in because of how clumped together these teams are.
And we've mentioned Baylor this whole time. Minnesota is another team that could jump in there, especially this week because they play Penn State tomorrow. The rest of their season shapes up. They'd go to Iowa to play the 18th ranked Iowa Hawkeyes, and you play Northwestern, who was vying for that Big Ten conference just last year, and then you finish your season hosting Wisconsin. Those could potentially be the games if Minnesota goes undefeated. They could also see themselves at the bare minimum getting into that top 10 and having a really good bowl game. If they finish undefeated, there is potential that the committee could say, well, we could throw them in as a very low percentage chance. I don't think they'll get in if they go undefeated, but they'll need a lot of help.
Yeah, I don't think the committee's going to put in two Big Ten teams. Honestly, even with Ohio State, Penn State, I don't think both of them are going to make the college football playoff. Only one of them is. And, say Minnesota wins out, I think they can definitely make it in to the top 10. Maybe even into the top 6. You never know, but they're definitely not going to be in that top 4. But they definitely have a shot at a good bowl game.
Honestly, what I see right now, the top 6 are not going to change. It's going to be the same ones. They're just going to move around a few places. Baylor and Minnesota are going to play each other in a pretty good bowl game. Honestly, I would put those two in a game together because that would be a great game, honestly. But as of right now, the winner of LSU Alabama, they're going to stick in their same spot. Kind of depends on that. If LSU beats Alabama, maybe in the next one you see LSU jump to 1 and Ohio State jump down to 2. And then when Ohio State Penn State play each other, that's a 1 and a 4 spot potentially moving, or a 2 and a 4 spot potentially moving. So, like I said, these 6 are not going to move at all. But Minnesota and Baylor went out the rest of the season, you're going to get a good bowl game.
And speaking of those 6, let's kind of now transition that into picking our top 6. I know we've kind of heard what Nolan's been thinking, but we'll kind of go down now from the 6th seed all the way up to the number 1 seed in that order, from 6 down to 1, or up to 1 rather, depending on how you look at it. But Sam, go ahead and we'll start with you. Who do you have at your number 6 spot?
Right now, number 6 for me is Georgia. I think that's the perfect spot for them. They had a bad loss at home against South Carolina, but they do have, a good win against Notre Dame at home, and they do have Florida left on the schedule to play, I believe, and they have a chance with all the moving parts that's going to be happening in the college football playoff. They have a chance to get into that top 4, but right now they're on the outside looking in my eyes.
Yeah, Georgia's my number 6 as well. I think that, like Sam said, perfect spot for them. They still got to play Auburn, and they still have to. I think do they still have Florida left?
They have Auburn, and then they
played
have
Florida
A&M.
already. So yeah,
they have played Florida. Okay.
So they have Auburn left. So that's another resume builder. But 6 is the perfect spot for them. They don't deserve the top 4, But with how much this moving around is going to happen in the next 2 weeks, Georgia's in a good spot.
I've went back and forth about where I think that some of these teams should be. I've thought about putting Oregon into that number 6 spot. Looked at their schedules. Georgia has played some much better competition. Obviously, you win against top 10 Florida. You win against, at the time, I believe they were very highly ranked 15th Notre Dame at the time or something like that.
They might have been top 10.
They might have even been top 10, but they were at close enough to that top 10 spot where the best competition Oregon has played was week 1 when they played Auburn, and they lost at the waning seconds of that game.
Weekend Sports Kickoff here on X106, also streaming live on the KNWT Channel 8 Facebook page. Jacob Blair, Andrew Botwinick, Nolan Brooks, Austin McNorton. It's been a while since all 4 of us have been on the show for all 3 hours, but it happened today, and all 4 of us are here to give our off our rockers this week. I want to start with Austin because it's been a while. What?
No, just Nolan broke another piece off of his pen.
That's a sad scene. That's a really sad scene. So I'll start, right?
Yes. Okay. I just said that.
All right. So
That was the plan, sir.
Like we were talking about earlier on in the show with the Houston Astros and everything that's been coming out recently, I think by the end of next season or halfway point through next season, we will find out that 10 plus more teams have been doing similar things as the Astros and have started to get caught or leaked information about them stealing signs.
Any punishments?
Yes. Whatever the Astros' punishment is, it'll be something to probably a little bit lesser degree, but similar.
In 2021, there won't be baseball, and will return in 2022. Okay.
I think 10-plus teams will, and these are big teams too, not like the Padres or something of the Yankees
What, the
or
Padres are
Dodgers
immune from doing
or
this?
something.
What he's saying is that if you're the Kansas City Royals and you're stealing signs, you put up a lot more wins than what you've been showing.
Well, just because you're stealing signs, you still got to hit the ball.
That's accurate. That's accurate. So
I think you're off your rocker, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think more teams will get caught.
Here's
because this is the first team to get caught. So
here's the way this is going to go. Either teams are going to stop, or everyone's going to get smarter with what they're doing.
That is a good point.
10 teams are not getting caught.
The Astros will be lucky to be fully dealt with by next year at that time. This investigation is going to take a long time to... So, 10 teams in a year? New. I think
if it becomes 10 teams, they might just take a season off, clean everything up, and come back a year later.
It's going to be like the NBA
Right.
lockout.
Right.
No, I don't know about 10. Maybe Houston by next time, or this year, or this time next year, but not 10. Off your rocker, sir.
It's fine.
Good one, though.
I appreciate
Very good one. Some controversy.
So mine is a little odd this week because it's not really an off my rocker. It's just more of truth. Austin knows where this is going.
I do, and I'm so excited.
Here's my off my rocker this week. College basketball. I'm done. That's my off my rocker this week. College basketball. Blank. Because you can fill in anything you say after that statement is crazy.
They will not play with the basketball the rest of the season.
Man, I thought you were going to go with your KU one. That's what I thought
you
were
were serious?
Your Ben McCollum KU thing. I thought
No.
that's where. Oh man, this man
I told
said,
you.
This man said
Ben McCollum
that
KU?
Ben
Hold on,
McCollum.
wait, what?
That Ben McCollum will replace Bill Self as head coach
After all of the
once
allegations.
Bill Self gets fired. Not an if.
There's a reason I didn't bring this one up. The more
See, that's why I was hoping you'd say because this man Nolan's gone.
You should have led with that one, Austin.
no, because
That's his take, not
see
mine.
now so we're like I said we're roommates. So like stuff just gets thrown around, and now he's bringing it up here.
Hey,
There's a reason I didn't say that. I just was gonna go, and I gave you this one. I just gave college basketball. Anything you say afterwards, crazy.
which is not. I mean, that's accurate. Look at this man
I'm
Nolan.
still
Get
trying
a camera
to,
on this man Nolan,
I'm still
right?
trying to wrap my head around the Ben McCollum replacing Bill Self one, because technically that would fit inside the college basketball blank. That would fit.
That's
Technically, yes. And in that situation, you're off your rocker.
That's true, honestly.
Everything else, I would say, with under a certain umbrella, yes.
So, see,
be
Austin's
my
over
worst
here
nightmare.
ruining my moment.
That'd be my worst nightmare.
I came in with something semi-creative to just say college basketball, and then he's got to ruin it.
It's creative, but it's not niche, because it literally is anything, including
That's the
that,
point.
including Cassius Winston scores 500 points a game, which isn't going to happen. In case you didn't look at his box score from the last few games they've played, that's not on pace to happen.
That was my point from the statement. It was basically anything you say is crazy because it's not going to happen.